So the focus now is a race against time. The vetting process has been lost. So that is a whole process that has been removed from the system.
Yeah.
Now it goes directly from me, from the source, directly to the audience. Now there's no time. There's no gap time. So you have several versions of the truth. There is such a thing as misinformation and disinformation.
Hello, everyone. Today, our guest is Cheche Lazaro, one of the most respected journalists in the Philippines and founder of Probe Team and Probe Productions, a powerhouse media outfit that worked for 35 years from the 1980s up until the last decade. I am very excited because I also was part of Probe Team at some point in the past, and she has become a guiding light, a working icon that I've looked up to all these years as a creative. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, Cheche. All of these then kids that passed through the doors of Matipid Street, passed through the doors of Probe Productions, and this very, very concrete but seemingly intangible web of achievers that you grew. You grew them, you grew us kind of.
Yeah.
I was there for a very short time, but it made a very big impact on my life as a creative, as a person who is in the creative industry.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you realize it, but you were an integral part of me having the courage to move from medicine into another world, a world which I had no clue existed.
Well, you were a big surprise to me, Isa. The first time I met you, you were a medical student at that time. And you were very active in the College of Medicine. You were head of your class.
Yeah.
You were doing quite well. And then all of a sudden, in our first conversation, you said you wanted to shift. You wanted to move away from
Wait,
medicine.
who's interviewing who here?
No, I'm telling you your story.
Yes, you
because
are.
Because
Oh my God.
how you moved into the creative side, as you said,
Yeah.
was really a decision that you made, and a very crucial decision because it's the medical field is one big chunk, and compared to the creative field, it is a more substantive. It's considered more substantive,
more essential, I would imagine.
Yes,
the
I
medical
mean it's
field.
necessary in our life.
Yes.
The creative side can wait.
Yeah.
When you are already, when you have made a name for
That's right.
yourself,
That's right.
and then you want to go into art collection, you want to do into curating, but that comes after the major career, which is medicine.
Yes.
But you decided to move, and for
Yes.
me that was quite a shocker, to be quite
To
frank
everybody.
about it. To everybody, including your mom.
Including
I
my
remember.
mom and my
Yeah.
family. And
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And for you to say now that your move into the
that
creative
you were
space
such a big part of it.
was triggered by Probe or what you were doing in Probe, I'm really amazed because you're the first person that has done that. And for me, that's quite an amazing achievement on your part.
Yeah.
But you were so bullheaded about it.
I was.
Why were you bullheaded?
Because I was unhappy in medicine. I just didn't feel it was a right fit.
Really?
And it was not for lack of busyness or even interest in learning.
Yeah.
It just felt like I would be a better person if I were doing something else.
But were you in the creative side in any way before then?
Zero.
What was this? Just a nightmare or a dream?
It was, I'm telling you, who's interviewing who here? My gosh, this is what you get. It was a slow burn. It was a slow burn. And I realized that I was much more interested in the creative processes, whether it was, writing, film, music.
Without having tried it.
Without having tried it. I was a big consumer of these things. But then I think it concretized when I went into museums. And I thought, okay, all this artwork did not come up and hang itself on the wall. Something made this happen.
Yes.
And I want to know who and how. But before I even got to that point, I needed to look at all the other industries, TV, film, whatever, magazines, music. And I realized that the creative process, all creatives are nonlinear.
Yes.
And they are fed by chaos or fed by just curiosity.
Yeah, the opposite of what we were doing.
Yes.
Of what you were doing in medicine, right?
But I also realized that creatives, they need a structure. So every single successful organization I had encountered, there was somebody at the heart of it who was making sure that the lights were on, the bills were paid. And, everybody was making things, right? And I think that I cite you because you were at that point such an icon, a working icon of media. And my father, we used to borrow old tapes of 60 Minutes. And then I remember the first time I saw Probe, it was like a light bulb. It's like, this is our version of 60 Minutes.
Yes. Well, I have to confess, that was part of the inspiration. I also was a fan of 60 Minutes. And when I saw that, I said, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because the stories at that time were, just part of the news, 45 seconds, and that was it.
That's right.
And there was a need, I felt, to expand the story so that people would understand more completely what's it all about. I mean, what are the ends of these stories? How did it begin? What is it now? And what can you do?
Yeah. When you had this idea, how long between having the idea and actually, birthing Probe?
Yeah, it was a difficult birth, I think. It was a difficult pregnancy, in a manner of speaking, because like you, it was just an idea, a seed of an idea that if I could do something like 60 Minutes and copy the idea, which was to have a problem or a question that needed to be answered. And how do you answer it? Through storytelling. So I felt that was the way to go. That was the opposite way of what the news was doing, which was short, brief, and to the point. I wanted to be to the point, but expanded so that the audience understands where a story is coming from. How long did it take from the dream of setting up of doing a 60 Minutes to its birthing with its first episode? It happened quite fast. I was working at ABS-CBN. I was head of public affairs at that time. And so the
What year was this?
Ooh,
It's in the 80s?
yes, the early 80s, before martial law was already at the cusp of being Lifted, yes. Yeah. And I had just come back from my studies in the States. I had just finished my master's degree. And ABS-CBN was just being resurrected again.
Yeah.
So they were looking for people, and I had people who I met.
Timing.
Yeah, it was timing.
Good timing.
So I headed the News and Public Affairs office. And at that time, the genres that were in existence were the talk show and the newscast. Only these two. And also there was this great debate about where do you put the news? Most of the time during those years, the news came at the late hours, 11 o'clock, when all of the prime time slots were exhausted.
Yeah.
In other words, where they could make the maximum money is
for the
where they put the
advertising,
shows, right? But then when you moved into the later hours, 11 o'clock, there were hardly any eyeballs and hardly any advertisers. So they put the news there. And so I thought, this is where there is a chance for us to do a program like this.
Yeah.
I proposed it to the station. The station said, no, it won't work. An investigative news magazine won't work. Because I thought at that time, let's do 3 kinds of stories in the 1 hour that we have, or the 47 total running time that you have. Let's do a heavy story, which is news of the day, headline based. Then let's do a medium story, which is something that affects everyone, but is not of urgency as the news, the top news. And then let's do a light story, which is about Filipinos, about creatives.
Yeah.
We were doing singers, we were doing theater, we were doing all kinds of things in line with the arts and what we call the softer stories.
Yes.
So when we were doing that, when I was proposing it, they said, that won't work. Filipinos are not tuned in for an investigative report. They will not sit down for 8 to 10 minutes to watch something. They're so used to the talk show where everybody's arguing or the newscast where you just say somebody has been jailed, somebody has been killed, out and out the door.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get airtime. So we decided. There was Maria Ressa, I think Lucci, and an editor, and my secretary Clem, and we decided, okay, we'll start a little company. Now, how do you start a company? You need money. We didn't have money. You need airtime. We didn't have airtime. You need equipment. We didn't have anything. Not even a small camera. Well, of course, these cameras weren't born at that time.
Yeah.
So, in one story that keeps on recurring in my mind, Del and I were one time during evening conversation. I was saying, we need to buy a camera. That's the first thing we need to do because we have to film the story.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we have a few savings. We can use that money to buy a camera. A camera.
Oh.
Right? So Maria, who was still living in the States or commuting between her parents were still living in the States. On one of the occasions that she was coming back, I said, Maria, please buy a camera. So we did research. We went to this big supplier in New York.
Yeah.
She bought, a huge, humongous. Yeah. Our first camera was so huge.
Yeah.
And she brought it home. That was our first purchase. Then, of course, the next thing that had to come were the editing machines.
Yeah.
And then it grew, but it grew in my son's bedroom.
Okay.
Because we didn't have an office.
Yeah.
I had already resigned from ABS and I wanted to
So you had already made the shift. You were going to do this.
Yes. It was a hard shift because we were starting really from zero or even below zero.
Yeah.
No equipment. The money we paid for salaries because we had to pay a cameraman came from the salary of my husband. Okay. So it was like hand to mouth is not an accurate description, but it was from day to day trying to do it. So we would eat lunch in the house, we would edit, they would sleep in the house because we had to edit through the night. And I think our first story, if I'm not mistaken, was the MV Doña Paz. Do you remember that? This was the accident that happened where 1,000 people died.
Yeah.
So, of course, all the news teams were scrambling to get the news. We were there, but we had no airtime. We were going to do a documentary with no airtime, but we had a camera.
Yeah.
We would be at the pier waiting for bodies to come in. Yeah. We would be there interviewing the people who were waiting for their relatives. We were there, and we were only fueled by passion, really, because when you thought about it, we had nothing to go on except that idealism. Maybe it was, on hindsight, quite foolish and quite stupid, but we pursued. So in the meantime, while they were beginning to transcribe, because one of the cardinal rules that we did in probe was that every interview had to be transcribed word for word so that we did not misquote anyone and we could not be accused of taking people out of context, their statements out of context. So while they were transcribing, some of them were transcribing, we were also looking for airtime. And so we went to Channel 7 and said, can you give us airtime for this? Channel 7, maybe next month. We waited a month, maybe another month. And finally, we got our airtime. All this time, the story of Doña Paz was contained in the news. There was no in-depth story about, who's to blame, what happened, how did it happen, where is it going, how are the victims going to be compensated, what are the maritime rules, how is this moving forward. There was none of that. There were bits and pieces on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And the news teams did a good job keeping the news in the foreground.
Keeping it alive.
Keeping it alive, yes. But we were trying to nurse it to be able to give the long form of the Doña Paz. Finally, we aired, I don't remember the date, we aired on Channel 7. And we made our first attempt at that. I don't know how many people watched us. Of course, we were consigned to the late hour, 11 o'clock. And we grew from there. But that was a really super tiny seed. Our next story was, we thought there was a gold dig at Intramuros because there was a story that Yamashita's gold was going to be that a person named Charles McDougall. He looked like an Indiana Jones type, with his hat, with his rolled up sleeves, with his jeans. So again, we ran after the story with no airtime. And we went down into the bowels of the earth because they were digging. And, on a daily basis, it became deeper and deeper and deeper. We went down with our cameras. We were watching McDougall. We did like maybe a 12-hour vigil. We would be there just in case somebody said, gold.
Yeah.
Of course, that never came.
Yeah.
But we did the story anyway. Channel 7 gave us another chance the next month.
Yeah.
So
it was month to month.
Yeah. So our existence was hand to mouth in that sense. But there was a dogged desire to do something.
Yeah.
And followed by other stories. But those two stand out in my mind because those were the first two most difficult ones to get airtime for.
Right. And at what point were you able to, did it become, did you get the weekly airtime?
Okay. Good question, which is which is a question for all producers up to this day.
Yes.
Where does the money come from?
Yes.
Foolishly, we were not concerned about money.
Yes. I know that feeling.
You know that feeling?
Yeah, because
you're that foolish too.
Yes.
We went back to Channel 2 and we asked for airtime. We couldn't afford to buy airtime, obviously.
Yeah.
And so Channel 2 said, yes, they gave us airtime. They say 10:30, but in truth, it was 11, 11:15, 11:30, when nobody except my mother was awake waiting for us.
Yeah.
So we did stories for that time. At the same time, we covered the visit of Cory Aquino to the States, where that was her first state visit as president.
The speech at Congress.
At Congress. And we did a series of, it was now going to be a weekly series, and we tried the 3-story format, and it began to catch the attention of people. And the story I like to tell is, in the many years that we were there, we were often nominated.
Yes.
We were this little tiny engine that were nominated, but we never won.
Yeah.
So one time, at the Gawad CCP, I think, we were nominated, but we were out interviewing the mayor of Quezon City. So we were all wearing our jeans and our standard white shirt, and we were just interviewing. Then all of a sudden, Tina Palma calls me up and says, she used to call me Chang. She said, Chang, you better come here. I said, why? Just come here. Aren't you invited here? I said, yes, but we have an interview and we can't make it. You just come here.
Oh.
So we arrived. All of us looking
Look from the field.
Yeah, we were in field clothes. And we were in back of the little theater. And I think they were naming the 10 best television programs. And at number 7, they began describing the program. So we were upstairs listening, and then it began to sound like us. The description sounds like us. So we were nudging each other, and then when they said the probe team, we ran as fast as we could, just in case they changed their mind, right?
I'm telling you, your effect is beyond, I don't think you would have imagined this determination to really plant the same seed with everybody who saw what you guys were doing. Because what you were doing, I mean, it was difficult. There was no sense of reward. It was not a money play. But I think it boils down to storytelling and truth. So watching this, it made me think, these people, they're good at what they do. They clearly love what they're doing. And how does it work? Like, who is the engine? Hence, you, CLL. Everybody called her CLL. That's how I know you, CLL. But it's, and by the time I came into the probe ecosystem, I think you were probably, this was like 1999, 2000. So perhaps would you say that was your peak? You had so many programs. You had maybe 10 or 11 programs. That house in Matipid Street was like, what is this place?
Yes, it was. I have to look back and think, because at that time we were just moving in all directions. How it grew was like, we're like little kabute. Because when we were doing the probe team, my nephew, Zach, told me that, and he was about 7 or 8 years old. He said, Tita, in our school, we have a club. It's called the Probe Team Club. I said, what does the club do? We watch Probe. And then we meet, because Probe was on a Friday. When we meet on Monday, we talk about the stories that you did. I said, really? I said, do you understand the stories? And he said, some. And so he named, a few stories that they liked, mostly the light stories. Sometimes the heavy stories they would understand. And then, so in our meeting, because as you know, we have the Monday meeting.
Yes, which I have here in my office.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We do it for Manila, it's Tuesday, because Tuesday is our Monday. We don't have work on Monday. And then in New York, we do it on Wednesdays.
Fantastic.
The Monday meeting is when everybody comes together, the whole company comes together. You're sitting everywhere. On the floor, some people are standing, and you just talk about what you liked, what you didn't like from the last week, and then moving forward, what's going to happen this week. So it's really a powwow, so everybody's on the same page.
Right.
And it's a great equalizer.
Yes.
Because you can be the lowest person on the team, but your opinion has weight at that moment.
Right.
So I think it's also a way to reconnect. And start the week.
To make them feel a part of the team. Isa, I think the operative word for probe is teamwork. I think that is what makes that's what makes probe strong. Because we tried to eliminate, or in my mind, I didn't like the idea of individualized work where you are paid piecemeal. You edit this small piece, you're paid. You voice this, you're paid. You interview this, you're paid. I wanted the concept of the all-around producer or the all-around team member can do anything and everything. Because I believe in the principle that nobody is indispensable. That in a team, everybody works for the greater success of the whole team. So, when somebody asks me, who is your favorite reporter, or who do you admire in the field? I want to say, rather than who is my favorite a reporter or person on camera, I want to focus on the team and focus on the producers because they're the ones that really do the work.
Yeah.
The persons in front of the TV, in front of the cameras are, they look glam, they look like they get the pictures taken, they get to be the ones interviewed. Lucky for them, how nice for them. But the real work is done by those behind the cameras, the ones who lift the tripods, the ones who set up this thing to make you look nice and glamorous. They're the real heroes.
I did my years in PGH, and everybody who you went to PGH with, everyone I went to PGH with, or anyone who went through PGH, we know each other. Parang we are of the same ka-vibes tayo. We know it. We understand it. The same thing with Probe. I think the people who went through Probe,
yes.
There is a sense of can-do.
Yes.
And everybody is a self-starter. They're not gonna wait.
Yeah.
Hindi sila maiiwan kasi late na tayo. I mean, there's definitely this sense of they're gonna go after it.
At saka it's the people who joined Probe are of a special kind, I think. Those who did not last long, meaning to say, just joined for the heck of it, when you compare them to the rest who stayed and labored through all of the transcriptions. You labored through transcriptions.
I did. Didn't last very long, but I did.
Yeah. Wasn't it hellish?
It was, oh my God, yes. But it taught you, there's something about, this is actually what the Germans do. You do something repetitively until it's perfect and perfect and perfect. So you're able to distill, appreciate, and elevate. Moving forward. And appreciate the next person who's gonna take your place, gonna do the same thing.
Send her your sympathies together with the transcribing machine. And the other thing about our Monday meeting, if you recall, we tried to encourage openness. Us Filipinos, we're very sensitive to comments, right?
Yeah.
But we try to encourage openness so you can critique her work.
Yes.
And initially it was difficult because, it's like, what? You think my edit was not good enough?
Yeah.
Now you're criticizing my black. Now you're doing this. But then after a while, it came automatically. So I got comments like, the voicing was too fast or the pronunciation of this word was not accurate. And, in the end, you just improve.
Yeah.
The next time you see that word, you will not trip on it because you heard the comment during the Monday meeting that your voicing there was not so good.
I always say that critique is an additive thing.
Yes.
It's not that we want to put you down. It's that we want things to get better.
Oh, but you have to frame it, no?
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. I am really criticized when I do. I am a hard boss. I'm a difficult boss. And it's I think it's because you see the same trips. You see the same mistakes over and over again. And for me, these mistakes, once we will teach you. A second time,
remind you.
A third time, di ba, medyo nakakainis na, di ba?
Kasi can you handle it or not?
Ilang beses na tayo dumaan dito, right?
Yes.
So talking about sensitive stories and difficult and sensitive stories. Can you talk about one story in any of the programs, or maybe that really sort of tested you, and how did you deal with it?
Oh, whoa. Stories about children and women being abused are difficult for me because, well, I'm a mother and I'm a woman, and I cannot believe sometimes the kinds of stories that come out of these women who have been abused or the children who have been abused. I always think in terms of what kind of a future will they have. And then the stories about poverty in our midst seems to repeat itself. Then, of course, the mountain climbing and all of the adventure stories were always very good. And I have to blame or credit
Yes.
my young producers who are half my age,
Yeah.
for thinking of all of these crazy things.
Yeah.
I mean, who would think that let's do a story in Mount Apo? Let's go climb it for 5 days. Let's reach the peak tonight or tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what?
Yeah.
In today's language, it's like, you're not gonna get me up to that peak at 5 o'clock in the morning. But during that time, everybody had this can-do attitude.
Yeah.
And it was contagious.
Yes.
It was contagious.
Yeah.
The moment they said, okay, we're doing this, another person had the idea, okay, we will try putting you in the situation where you are a bus conductor, or you are going to sell fish in the market, or you're going to do, I mean, who thinks of these things? Who really thinks of these things? When we were doing the children's show, 5 and Up, the producers there were in their 20s, and they were just recalling recently that they brought them to Batanes, and they asked one of the kids to stand almost at the precipice of one of these
The cliffs,
stations, in Batanes, and ask him to spread out his arms and deliver his spiel. And now that they're mothers, they're saying, my God, I would have sued you for all you've got. But no, they did it.
Fearless.
They did it at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Who would think of these crazy things? That's
Yeah.
why I really give credit to the young producers and the young team members.
Right.
It was fantastic working with young people.
Yeah.
Because first, they have crazy ideas. Second, they have no fear in their bones.
Yeah.
And third, they're very daring and perhaps a little stupid because they don't know the consequences.
That's right,
Or
yeah.
what I will have to face if something happened to them and
Yeah.
their mothers came running after me for my neck.
Yeah.
They were unaware, totally unaware.
Yeah.
But they did it.
Yeah.
They really did it.
Yeah.
With
And to great
ano, ha?
success, I think. It sounds like, I mean, these are core memories
Yes.
for everybody who was there.
Yeah, that's why the pro people, everybody, you, everybody that has joined Probe has a happy memory.
Yeah.
And not because of me, Isa, but because of the team.
Yeah.
Because of what it meant to them
Right.
and what it did to their lives.
Yeah.
We had romance in Probe.
Yes.
We had pairings that
You
went off
did.
and lived happily ever after.
That's right.
So when they complain about no social life, they have no right to complain because they married their spouses. So
I mean, this is where Howie came from.
Yes.
And Robert, dear
And
Robert, this
dear
is where
Robert,
Robert came
yes.
from. And Love,
Yes.
this is where Love came from.
and Albert Sumaya.
Yeah, Albert Sumaya, Badet. I mean,
Yes.
all these people, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I think that they weren't, of course, now they've moved on to
Yes.
bigger and better, and they are their own.
Yes,
They
yes.
are
They've
their
made
own
names for
solar
themselves.
systems.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of good journalism,
Yes.
okay. Of course, the world is different, has changed, and the world, the news, the news cycle, or journalists are having to find their footing because the standards of maybe the standards are the same, but the following of the standards is different.
Yes.
And the way news reaches us or is reported, is consumed, it's all different.
Yes.
What for you would be a good journalist in this day and age?
Okay, what has been lost between the time that we were doing our work and today is the vetting process.
Okay. True.
In the past, during our time in the newspapers, there
Yes.
was a series of layers where a news item is checked by
Fact
your
check.
desk editor,
Yes.
is checked by the assistant editor, the section editor, before it is released to be placed in the paper.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in the newscast, the broadcast
Yes.
field, right? A reporter files his report, it is checked, the script is checked before it is voiced. Well, technically, this is what's supposed to happen. And then the supervising producer, the executive producer go through the material before it is put on the air. This doesn't always happen. But once it gets on the air and it is caught, so the focus now is a race against time. The vetting process has been lost, so that is a whole process that has been removed from the system. Now it goes directly from me, from the source, directly to the audience. And what has happened is that you have several versions of the same item. In the past, that was also true. But then because of the vetting process and because of the time lapse, there was time to correct and there was time to check. Now there is no time. There is no gap time. So you have several versions of the truth. There is such a thing as misinformation and disinformation. I mean, the distinction between the two result in all kinds of news that when the consumer, which is you and I, when we open our telephones, now the immediate reaction is this fake news? Or do you think this is real? Or the second reaction is, where did this come from? And now you refer to the source. If it came from somebody you trust or somebody you know is quite reliable, then you might believe it. But even then, you're not sure about it because that could be a bot account. That could be manufactured by some little room where there are several hundred phones that are being used to send out messages. The internet highway has really opened a lot of avenues for communication, which is good. Right? I think it's an equalizer in the sense that those who didn't have any voice now have a voice. Everybody has complete access to the internet, can say what they please, no censorship, nobody is guiding them. My feeling or my hope is that we will eventually, with media education, more young people being aware of the dangers of this open highway. You could get into an accident, and that accident is named misinformation or disinformation or complete falsehoods. We'll move towards the center where, with a better educated audience that is aware of how media works, how media can manipulate your mind, can feed you with information that looks real, but is not real. We will move to the center at some point and be able to discern as consumers what is real and what is not real. I mean, it's a very thin line, right? And it's difficult. But I think it can be done. For example, in Probe now, what we're doing is we have a project educating young kids, high school kids, where we go around in a caravan, bringing influencers, which have become a new genre of people that are using the internet highway. And these influencers have huge followings. And the young people, they cater to different audiences, but mostly the young people follow them and believe what they say because they're engaging, they're funny, they're very attractive. They have a way of speaking that speaks to the young people. Nobody's lecturing the way, let's say, Probe did it before. It's a new style. Now the Probe way is already...
So is this in person? They go physically to these places? Or it's an online thing? Or?
No. We bring these influencers. We have some influencers have engaged with us, have volunteered to work with Probe to be able to join this education caravan where we bring lecturers. I mean, people, journalists who are working, who tell them about how to distinguish, it's like how to tell a fake peso bill. These are the characteristics. They list it down. And the influencers, because of their pull, because of their ability to bring in an audience, go there and speak. And they're mobbed by all of these young kids who relate to them more effectively than an old fogey like myself.
Yeah.
So it's effective in
You're not an
educating
old
the
fogey.
public. Yeah, well, young, yeah,
So, anyway,
whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
but they educate them. Then we also probe archives, which is now the main focus of our work, uses these influencers to educate people online about fake news, about misinformation. And the more we do this and the more people pick it up, the better it is for us, because then it can be the internet highway, or as social media as we know it, will now be infused with all of these influencers who can convert formerly stodgy topics into interesting and compelling subject matters.
Thank you for being with us today. We conclude our first episode with CLL, and we see you in the second episode coming soon. My name is Lorenzo. Thank you very much for joining us.
Creative Encounters with Lorenzo is produced by Manila Media. The Manila Media team is led by executive producer Ella Evangelista Martelino and creative director Leo Sanchez Matias. Producers Dred Irum and Mel Lozano. Associate producer Christine Parafina. Editor Jacob Hinanay. And videographer Carl Lawrence Nario. It's an honor to have Miss Cheche Lazaro as today's guest. Also, thanks to Ms. Jan Aquino, Managing Director, Probe Productions, Inc. And to Probe Archives and Probe Media Foundation, Inc. for the supporting materials we used. Extending appreciation to the Silverlens Gallery's team, Ms. Rachel Rillo, co-director, and the media team, as well as Pia Reyes, who did the makeup. Our sincerest thanks to all our friends in the media for their continued support of Creative Encounters with Lorenzo. Again, thank you for spending this time with us. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Silverlens Galleries. Be sure to explore our other episodes for more inspiring stories from the worlds of art, design, and culture. Until our next creative encounter.